This story isn't easy for me to tell, mostly because I still don't know how to explain what happened. It's been nearly a year and I still wake up at night with the image of that thing burned into the back of my eyelids. But maybe telling it, writing it all down, will help me make sense of it. Or at least, maybe it'll serve as a warning. Let me start from the beginning. It was in September. I had hit my late 30s, and something in me shifted. I don't know if it was the slow, creeping dread of settling or just the weight of my job finally catching up with me. But I woke up one morning and realized I hadn't done anything adventurous in years. So I cashed out some of my PTO, bought a secondhand hiking pack, and booked a one-way ticket to Ireland. I've always been drawn to Ireland, the mist, the music, the haunting loneliness of its countryside. Something about it felt old in a way America never has. Timeless. Like the veil between then and now is just thinner there. I flew into Dublin, rented a car with a steering wheel on the other side, and promptly got lost on a back road in Offaly County. And honestly, it was exactly what I needed. The narrow country roads wound between stone walls and mossy ruins. And every few miles I'd pass a cottage with a smoking chimney and chickens pecking in the yard. It was the kind of quiet you feel in your bones, like the whole world was whispering. I had planned to spend most of my time hiking and staying in old guest houses, writing, thinking, being alone. But a few days in, I started hearing about a place called Leap Castle. It was always mentioned in hushed tones. Locals said it was cursed. More than one person told me not to go. So, naturally, I had to. Before we get into the story, I'm Devin, and this is Porch Lore. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Enjoy the story. This is Porch Lore. And I'm your host, Devin. This is the tale of Leap Castle. Let me give you some background, because this place isn't just another crumbling stone ruin with a ghost story tacked on. Leap Castle is considered one of the most haunted places in the world. It sits on a low rise in the countryside near Ruscria, surrounded by rolling fields and tangled hedgerows. From the outside, it looks like something out of a Gothic novel. Gray stone walls rising from a grassy hill, with narrow slit windows and a crumbling tower that juts towards the sky like a broken tooth. It was built sometime around the 13th century by the O'Bannon clan. But the really dark history began when the O'Carrolls took over. The O'Carroll family was known for being brutal and paranoid. Legend says they murdered anyone they saw as a threat, including each other. One brother, a priest, was said to have been stabbed to death by his own kin while saying mass in the chapel. That room is now known as the Bloody Chapel. But the most horrifying part? That would be the oubliette. An oubliette is a type of dungeon, a pit in the floor where prisoners were tossed and left to rot. Inside Leap Castle, hidden behind a wall in the chapel, workers discovered a shaft filled with hundreds of human skeletons. Some say it was so full the remains had to be cleared out by the cartload. And then there's the elemental entity. No one knows exactly what it is. Some say it's a spirit conjured by the Druids. Others say it's the manifestation of all the violence soaked into the castle's stones. The first recorded sighting was in the early 1900s. A guest described a small, hunched creature with decaying skin and a stench of sulfur and death. It's said to show itself only before disaster or when someone disturbs the castle's darker energies. Obviously, this sounded insane. But I've always been the open-minded, curious type, so I wanted to see it for myself. Leap Castle isn't a tourist attraction in the usual sense. It's privately owned by a man named Sean Ryan, who's been restoring the place for decades, and he actually lives there. And an old woman in a pub gave me his number, written on a coaster. Somehow I managed to get in touch with him, and then he agreed to let me come by on Saturday afternoon. When I arrived, the clouds were already gathering. The whole landscape had that green-gray tint like the air was holding its breath. Sean was kind. Quiet, but kind. He met me at the door in a thick wool sweater and led me inside. His dog trotted along beside us. The interior was incredible. Part medieval fortress, part music studio, part museum. He played the tin whistle for me in the great hall, his notes echoing up into the rafters. It should have felt warm and welcoming, but even then, there was a weight in the air, like the walls themselves were watching. He showed me the bloody chapel. The stairs leading up were so narrow and steep, I had to brace myself. The room at the top was mostly bare, just stone walls and a shattered window with ivy creeping through. Sean didn't go in. He stayed by the stairwell and let me explore on my own. And that's when I found the hatch in the floor. It was off in the corner, behind a half-rotted beam. The wood looked newer than the surrounding floor, like someone had added it later to cover something up. I don't know why I pulled it open. I guess just insatiable curiosity. But the moment I did, the air changed. It hit me in the face like a wall. This thick, foul stench, like rot and sulfur and wet soil. Then, something moved in the pit below. I swear I didn't imagine it. I saw it. Something small and pale, crawling just out of reach of light. And then it looked up at me. Its eyes weren't human. They were too wide and too dark. They shimmered like oil. I couldn't move. I couldn't even scream. My whole body locked up with fear, so primal I thought my heart would stop. Then Sean's voice called from the stairs. He sounded scared. "Close it," he said, "now, and come on." I slammed the hatch shut and ran. We didn't speak about it. I think he knew. Maybe he'd seen it before. He gave me tea in the kitchen, his hands trembling slightly as he poured the water. "It doesn't like to be disturbed," he said, as he looked at me sheepishly. I left before sunset. As I drove away down the narrow road, I felt something watching me. From the castle or from the woods, I don't know. But it stayed with me all the way to my next stop. Then the dream started that night. Dreams of a pale figure crawling from a pit, of hands reaching through stone, of eyes that burned through the dark. Even now, back home, I still smell sulfur sometimes. Still see shadows in the corner that vanish when I look directly at them. I've thought about going back, about confronting whatever it is. But every time I consider it, something inside me recoils like a wound remembering pain. Whatever lives in Leap Castle, it isn't just a ghost. It isn't just a story. It's real, and it's still there, waiting for the next curious visitor. I'm Devin, and thanks for joining me, Porch Pals. For more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. And remember, there's always room for one more on the porch.